I was watching Death on the Nile the other day and got really frustrated by some of the visual choices and straight up blind spots. The most frustrating example of this is their use of black and white in the opening. If you've seen the film, you know that most of the film is in color and set in 1937. But the opening shows us a young Poirot in World War I, and they made the choice to set the opening in black and white. Now, whenever you use black and white, it is a bold choice because it automatically snaps the audience into remembering that they're watching a movie. So if you're going to do it, you must further the story. There are often three good reasons to use black and white. The first is to highlight something important. For example, in The Giver, part of their world building is to slowly introduce colors throughout the film. And this works beautifully to draw your attention to whatever they want you to look at. Second is setting a time period or another world. So think The Wizard of Oz, right? Separating that monotoned sepia of Kansas with the full color world of Oz. And finally, sometimes you just want to tell a whole story in black and white. So if you think of the film Come On, Come On. During World War I, motion picture cameras were in their infancy, so it makes sense that they're not trying to go for a forensic recreation of the footage of the day. But they left so much visual opportunity and texture on the table. Here's an example. Because black and white footage accentuates the contrast of the story, we visually experience this image like it's sharper than the rest of the film. But that makes no sense. If we're going back in time, we shouldn't gain perceptual sharpness. If anything, we should lose it. Can I say something crazy? Blur this footage. Not a lot, but a minor amount would go a long way. And if you think I'm crazy, a small amount of blur is present in most film emulations that exist. If you watch my analysis on the Batman, you'll know that minor loss of detail was actually built into the look of the film. You'll notice in the shadows that they have a raised roll-off of the shadow, which is a good choice. But they leave the highlights pretty crisp. What if we had some significant filtering of the highlights, right? Give us some bloom or even some halation on the specular highlights. If they're going so far as to shock the audience with black and white, why not consider an aspect ratio change? Maybe not, but it would help us separate things. Another item to consider is film grain. Let's make it significantly more present. That will help with the visual texture as well as dirtying up the frame. You have to give us something more visually. When what we experience is a flashback in a film that appears sharper and cleaner than the rest of the film, it creates a fake and inauthentic experience. To be clear, I'm not critiquing the artistic talent and capabilities of the artists on this film. It's not lack of ability, it's a blind spot. Kenneth Branagh is brilliant, and the same goes for his cinematographer and colorist on this film. But as someone who cares deeply about visual storytelling, it frustrated me, and I wanted to process it. All right, like, subscribe, bell, and I'll see you in the next one.